Alright, so hi and welcome to the front seat of my car. I've now set up this cool little picture-in-picture type thing, so you can actually see me while I'm recording these videos. The angle's a little funny, but I'll work on it in future videos. Anyway, so today we are looking at the Testimonials block, which is part of the WP Astra theme. And in particular, I'm looking at a client site. In particular, I'm looking at a client site and how to just make your own edits to these testimonials. So what we do is we go to edit page. Okay, so now that that's loaded, I'm going to show you how to make edits to the testimonial block. So it's pretty simple. If you want to edit the text, you just click the part that you want to edit and you can add your own text here. That's all there is to it. Just click and edit. This here is click and edit, click and edit. Now the image itself is a little bit tricky. You actually need to go across to here and go to image, and from there you can replace the image. We can also adjust some other settings such as the position of the image, whether it's on the left or right. Okay, so these are already set up for the client. So what they want to do is they just want to add some more testimonials. So the easiest way to do that is you'll see that it sort of goes in this staggered pattern. So it goes from left to right. And so at the bottom here we want a left side one. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to copy this one. So just make sure that testimonial is selected down here. And on the left here, click on these three dots and go to duplicate. And see, that will create another testimonial here. And then all we want to do is just drag it down or press these little clickers to put it down to the bottom. Now, if I save that, you'll see that it looks good, but the testimonials are a little close to each other. So if I view this page, that looks quite good, but the only problem is they're just a bit tight. So what we can do is we can actually put a spacer block in between them. And you'll see I've done that here in between them. So it's a spacer with a height of 50. So, I mean, we could just copy this existing spacer, or we could add a new one. So it's either way is fine. So if we wanted to add a new one, we go to more options, insert before, and we press this little plus icon here, and we do a search for spacer. Okay, and then we'll just set the height to 50. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. So if you wanted to then add in a right side one, you would then duplicate this one here, and then just toggle it down to the bottom. And don't forget your spacer. So I'll just also show you how to just make a copy of it. So duplicate, and we can drag it as well. We don't have to use the arrows. Drag it to get that blue line, and we've got a nice spacer in between there and there. So another thing I might show you as well quickly is just some of the different options that you have with the testimonials block. So it can do quite a lot. You can actually, by toggling the number of testimonials, it automatically turns it into a slider, which is pretty cool. So you just need to increase that number and it will automatically just start adding more in for you. So you just select it and you just start editing it. And when you want to do the images, they're on the right side here. So image 1, image 2, image 3. So if we want to add an image for the second testimonial, just go to here. And we just select our image. I'm going to need to move that across to that side. Select, and see, that will be our image for slide 2. Done and done. And there's a few other settings that we can adjust. There's the carousel settings, so you can show both the arrows and the dots. I think probably just the dots is fine. I don't think that you really need the arrows. We can also adjust the vertical alignment, so whether it's aligned to the top or aligned to the middle. So that's whether this image here sits at the top or sits in the middle. We can change it from circle to a square, or just normal, which is basically if the image itself is not a thumbnail, it'll be the actual size of the image. So that when it's a thumbnail, it automatically is a square image, so you won't get any difference between the normal and the circle. But if you change it to one of these other settings, say the medium or the large, it's just loading those now, you'll see that the dimensions of the image actually change. We can also adjust the width of the image here too. We can bring it down or take it up. And then there's also some more advanced settings here. We can adjust the typography, so that's the typography for the testimonial itself, so we can adjust the font size, font family, and we got basically any Google font here. So you see there, it automatically changes it. Pretty cool. The name, the company, it's all the same. We can also change the font weight, which is how thick it is. Well, in that case you can't, but I'm sure if I select a different font, like say, what about Alice? Nope, only comes in font 400. Yeah, there we go. Some fonts will have different font weight options, but I guess that's worth checking out. But you probably wouldn't want a bold font for your testimonial text anyways. And also, if I can make a recommendation here, I'd probably just leave these as the default settings, or only make sure that you're using maybe 2 or maximum of 3 fonts on your site, because if you use more than that, it just looks quite bad. It doesn't look very professional. It reminds me of my old Microsoft Word days when I would have, a Microsoft Word page with 20 different fonts on it. It just doesn't look very professional. Scrolling down here, we can adjust the testimonial color. We can adjust the name color, company color, which is that bit down the bottom. They've called it company, but you can also put, other things. You could put where they're located. You could put their relationship to your business, so they could be a supplier, contractor. It's not necessarily. And here you can also change the arrow and dots color. Here's where you can adjust the spacing. So that's the spacing down there. And the row gap is that's the spacing between the sliders. Content padding, that's how much space is around the whole block itself. Testimonial bottom margin, so that's how far that sits there. Name bottom margin. Image horizontal padding. And we can also add a background to it as well. So we could add a color background, and that puts it on a color background. I can't really see a case when you would want to do this. But, there might be some limited cases where it would make sense. You can also do a border around it as well. Once again, not really sure when you'd want to do this, but it's still a cool option to have. So that's basically the slider, the testimonial block in a nutshell. It's a really great little block, and it's really handy. And so, as always, don't forget to go up to the top and click on update when you finish making changes. I'm not going to in this case, because it looks pretty terrible what I've done, and I don't really want to publish that to my client's site. So anyways, that's the testimonial block, and I'll see you on the next video.